isang elepante ang kanyang caretaker sa India.
Ano naman kaya ang naging dahilan ng pag-aamok ng hayop? Naku, silipin po natin yan mula sa mga balitang ibabahagi maya-maya. Magandang gabi, ako po si Ricky Mathay.
Ako si Nina Richie Alago Flores. Ito ang mata ng Agila International. Para naman sa mga headlines ngayong araw ng Lunes.
Visiting Forces Agreement sa pagitan ng Pilipinas at Canada malapit ng isapinal.
Cambodian Prime Minister Samdech Honmanet makikipagkita kay Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. bukas.
6 na Chinese balloons na mataan malapit sa Taiwan.
Isa patay at nasa 28 nawawala sa pagguho ng lupa sa Sichuan, China.
At ating alamin kung sino ang nagkamit ng tagumpay sa Super Bowl 2025. Nasa huling pagsasaayos na ang negosasyon para sa Visiting Forces Agreement sa pagitan ng Pilipinas at ng Canada.
Kinumpirma ito ni Canadian Ambassador to Manila David Hartman sa isang pahayag. Layunan niya ng kasunduan na ito na mapalalim pa ang kooperasyon at mapalawak pa ang kapasidad ng militar ng dalawang bansa. Umaasa naman ang Canadian envoy na mapipirmahan ang kasunduan na ito bago matapos ang taong 2025. Tulad ng Visiting Forces Agreement ng Pilipinas sa Estados Unidos, papayagan ang kasunduan na makapagsagawa ng malalaking military exercises ang mga Canadian troops sa loob ng Pilipinas tulad ng balikatan exercises na taon-taong isinasagawa.
Inanunsyo ng Presidential Communications Office o PCO ang pagbisita ni Cambodian Prime Minister Samdech Mohaborvor-Difaday Honmanet sa Pilipinas simula ngayong araw February 10 hanggang bukas February 11. Layon nila ng official visit na ito ng Cambodian leader na palakasin pa ang bilateral ties sa pagitan ng Manila at Phnom Penh. Inaasahang tatalakayin ni Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. at Prime Minister Honmanet ang pag-usad ng kooperasyon ng dalawang bansa para labanan ang transnational crimes, gayon din sa mga aspeto ng defense, trade, tourism at iba pa.
Hindi aalisin ang EDSA busway. Ito ang paglilinaw ng pamunuan ng Department of Transportation o DOTR sa kabila ng pangamba ng mga commuter na tatanggalin ang naturang linya para bigyang daan ang mga private vehicles na bumabiyahe sa EDSA. Ayon kay Transport Secretary Jaime Bautista, malaki ang ambag ng dedicated bus lane sa publiko kaya naninindigan ang ahensya na hindi aalisin ang EDSA bus lane. Dati nang nakipagpulong ang DOTR kay Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. para talakayin ang Comprehensive Traffic Management Plan o CTMP. Ang CTMP ay isang 5 taong action plan na layong paluwagin ang mga traffic congestions sa National Capital Region. Kaugnay nito ay kinumpirma ng ahensya na tuloy ang pagsasagawa ng plano para sa rehabilitasyon ng EDSA busway. Ayon sa 2024 data ng Metropolitan Manila Development Authority o MMDA, halos nasa 400,000 na mga sasakyan ang dumaraan sa kahabaan ng EDSA araw-araw mula Caloocan City hanggang Pasay City. Sa kabila nito, nasa 300,000 vehicles lamang ang kapasidad nito.
Inaasahan ngayong linggo ay ilalabas na ang higit sa 700,000 bags ng bigas ng National Food Authority o NFA para ibenta sa mga local government units bilang bahagi pa rin ng implementasyon ng Food Security Emergency. Ayon kay Agriculture Assistant Secretary Arnel de Mesa, ibebenta nila ang mga rice stocks sa mga LGUs ng 33 pesos kada kilo. Pwede anya ito muling itinda ng mga LGUs sa halaga naman na 35 pesos kada kilo. Noong February 4, isinailalim ang Pilipinas sa isang food security emergency para mapababa ang presyo ng bigas sa merkado. Sa bisa ng deklarasyon ng Food Security Emergency ay masisimula ng NFA ang paglalabas ng kanilang buffer stocks ng bigas. Nilinaw naman ni De Mesa na kailangan din ang paglabas ng mga rice buffer stocks para mayroong paglagyan ng mga magsasaka sa mga warehouse dahil nagsimula na ang anihan ng mga palay. Ang peak season anya ng anihan ng palay ay magsisimula sa buwan ng Marso hanggang Abril.
Katitingman, asahan pa rin ang tapyas presyo sa produktong petrolyo bukas February 11, 2025. Pagpatak ng alas 6 ng umaga bukas ay ipatutupad na ng mga oil industry firms ang 10 sentimos na bawas sa presyo ng kada litro ng gasolina at diesel, habang 30 sentimos naman ang tapyas sa kada presyo o kada litro ng kerosene o gaas. Una nang nilinaw ng Department of Energy na nakaaapekto sa paggalaw ng presyo ng produktong petrolyo ang plano ni US President Donald Trump na taasan ng taripa sa mga langis na isusupply sa kanila ng Canada, Mexico at China.
Hindi naman pinansin ni Senate President Francis Escudero ang panawagan ng ilang mga mambabatas at ilang miyembro ng publiko na madaliin ang paglilitis ng Senado sa ipinasang impeachment case ng Kamara laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte. Aaralin anya at susundin na mataas na kapulungan ang legal na proseso sa isinampang reklamo ng mga miyembro ng Kamara sa bise. Sinabi rin ng senador na posibleng pagkatapos pa ng sona ni Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. masisimulan ang impeachment trial dahil may iba't ibang proseso anya na kailangan pang pagdaanan. Wala ring plano si Escudero na kausapin si Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. upang magpatawag ito ng special session para mag-convene ang Senado bilang impeachment court. Paliwanag niya, hindi ito naaayon sa saligang batas.
Kahit mag-convene yung impeachment court, anong gagawin namin? Ang unang-unang gagawin pagkatapos ng rules, papadala ng summons ang nasasakdal. 10 araw para sumagot kung hindi siya hihingi ng extension. Pag humingi ng extension, malamang pagbibigyan naman yun ng isa. Ngayon, pagkatapos nun, 10 araw din para magsumite ng reply. Baka humingi din ng extension. Pagkatapos nun, baka humiling naman yung nasasakdal na pagkakataon magsabit ng rejoinder. Hindi ko alam, pero karapatan niya yun. Karapatan din ng prosecution magsabit ng rejoinder. Karapatan din ng magkabilang panig kung tingin nila, may nais pa silang sabihin o isumite na pleading, magsumite na tinatawag nating ad cautela pleading. So, mahaba pa yun eh. Tapos magpi-pre-trial. Maghahanda sila ng judicial affidavit. I have already said, I have no intentions of requesting the President for a special session. Hindi ito isa sa mga bagay na dahilan para magpatawag ng special session ng Senado. Dagdag po dito. Sino bang may gusto na mag-special session kami at mag-trial kami bago mag-eleksyon? Sino ba humihiling nun?
Binuweltahan ang kasong graft and corruption ng grupong Citizen Crime Watch, sina House Speaker Martin Romualdez, Representative Elizalde Co, at Representative at Majority Leader Manuel Dalipe at dalawang hindi pinangalanang individual. Ayon kina Attorney Jimmy Bondoc, Attorney Raul Lambino at Davao del Norte 1st District Representative Pantaleon Alvarez, may mga ginawang paglabag ang grupo ni Romualdez sa pagkakapasa ng 2025 General Appropriations Act o GAA, partikular na ang budget insertion sa 214 na bilyong piso sa pambansang budget. Bukod sa paglabag sa Section 3, Paragraph E ng RA No. 3019 o ang Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, nagsampa rin sina Alvarez ng 12 counts of falsification of legislative documents batay sa Article 170 ng Revised Penal Code. Sinabi ng grupo na kaya 12 counts ang isinampa nilang kaso ay 12 beses din umanong pinunuan ng illegal ang mga blankong bahagi ng GAA. Itinanggi rin nila na may koneksyon sa impeachment case ni Vice President Sara Duterte ang pagsasampa nila ng mga kaso laban kina Romualdez.
Una, ang sana inisip namin, yung violation lang ng revised penal code. Ngayon may nagsabi na sa dami ng nilabag na batas, bakit hindi natin i-file lahat ng kaso na po pwedeng i-file? Kaya napagdesisyonan ng grupo na pumunta rin dito sa office ng ombudsman. Yung pagsingit ng, imagine, 241 billion pesos. Ang laking halaga yan. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na typographical error yan na kinurek ng technical working group. Mahirap po, ang laki ng amount na involved. Marami yung blanco na yon. Ngayon, nung tinignan namin ano yung mga nilagay nila doon sa blanco, tinotal namin, umabot sa 241 billion. Makahiwala yan. Kasi iba naman yung impeachment, ibang usapin yun. At ito, criminal case ito, ibang usapan dito. Yung sinasabi nila diversionary tactic, at tingnan nyo ito. Sino nag-divert? Alin ang nauna? Di ba yung press conference ni dating Pangulong Duterte at ni Congressman Ungab, doon nila pinaputok na maraming blanco yung BICAM report. Ngayon, ayaw nilang pag-usapan yan dahil sigurado swak na swak sila sa yung kaso. Kaya sila ang gumawa ng diversionary tactic. Gumawa sila ng issue na matatabunan itong iskandalo sa budget.
Naglayag ang barkong Lanhai 101, isang sasakyang pandagat ng China, sa paligid ng Sulusi nitong Lunes ng umaga. Ang nasabing Chinese vessel, ayon kay dating US Air Force official at dating Defense Attaché Ray Powell, ang Lanhai 101 ay isa sa 2 pinakamalalaking fisheries research ship ng China. Namataan din anya ang kasama nitong Chinese ship na Lanhai 201 na nasa Arabian Sea at nagsasagawa naman ng pananaliksik para sa aquaculture sector ng China. Ididepensa naman ni Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Zhou Jiakun ang presensya ng mga barko ng China sa exclusive economic zone ng Pilipinas. Nagpatrolya lamang anya ang mga Chinese ships sa South China Sea alinsunod sa soberanya, karapatan at interes ng Beijing na nakatatag na sa kasaysayan at sa international law. Matatandaang noong taong 2016 ay pumabor ang Permanent Court of Arbitration ng The Hague sa Pilipinas at sinabing walang legal na basis ang paniniwala ng China. Subalit magpasa hanggang ngayon po ay ayaw kilalanin ng China ang resulta ng nasabing international decision. Susunod, parehas na kinundinan ng Estados Unidos at Japan ang agresibong aksyon ng China sa West Philippine Sea.
Hamas at Israel matagumpay na naisagawa ang panglimang prisoner exchange.
At tensyon sa pagitan ng US at South Africa tumataas dahil sa trade talks. Mga detalye po ng mga balita niyan at iba pa sa pagbabalik na Mata ng Agila International.
is a signal to the world that we are open for business.
Open for Business with Cesar Vallejos. Every Sunday, 9 p.m.
Sa NET25.
Tumuto at makibalita sa mga pangyayari at kaganapan sa loob at labas ng bansa.
Dito sa mata ng Agila sa tanghali, Lunes hanggang Biyernes.
Alas 12 ng takali, dito lang sa NET25.
At sabayang mapapakinggan sa Radyo Agila DZEZ 1062. Matatag!
Matapang!
Matapat!
Kinundena ni US President Donald Trump at Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba ang provocative activity o mga nakababahalang aktibidad na ginagawa ng China sa West Philippine Sea. Ang naturang pahayag ay nangyari matapos ang kanilang isinagawang pagpupulong kamakailan kung saan ipinaaabot ng dalawang lider ang kanilang matinding pagtutol sa illegal na maritime claims ng China, pagtatayo ng mga man-made islands para gawing military base at ang mga pagbabanta at pananakot nito sa rehiyon. Samantala, inanunsyo ng Philippine Coast Guard o PCG ang kanilang plano na magsagawa ng mga joint exercises kasama ang mga Coast Guards ng Estados Unidos, Japan at Australia. Ang mga pagsasanay na ito ay inaasahang susundan ang matagumpay na ika-6 na multilateral maritime cooperative activity na isinagawa kasama ang mga puwersang militar ng 3 bansang nakikilahok. Ang kamakailang MMCA ay nagbunga ng pagpapadala ng mga frigates, patrol ships, fighter jets at mga search and rescue assets sa West Philippine Sea. Bukod rito, kasama rin sa mga isinagawang drills at interoperability exercises na nagpakita ng collective commitment na tiyakin ang isang malaya at bukas na Indo-Pacific. Kaugnay nito, ipinahayag pa ni PCG spokesman Commodore J. Tariela ang pagnanais ng pamahalaan para sa mga similar joint exercises kasama pa ang ibang mga bansa na binigyan diin ang kahalagahan ng ganitong mga kaganapan para mapalakas ang kooperasyon nito sa mga kaalyadong bansa. Nilinaw ni Tariela na sa kabila ng mga kasalukuyang limitasyon ng ahensya, nagawa pa ring pigilan ng PCG ang mga barko ng China na makalapit sa mga baybayin ng Luzon.
Na-detect ang nasa 6 na Chinese balloons malapit sa Taiwan noong nakaraang linggo. Ito ay sa gitna ng patuloy na military pressure ng Beijing sa naturang isla na inaangkin nitong bahagi ng kanilang teritoryo. Ayon sa Taiwanese Defense Ministry, namataan ang 6 na Chinese balloon sa loob ng 24 na oras. Maliban po rito, na-detect din ang nasa 9 na Chinese military aircraft, 6 na warships at 2 official ships ng China sa parehong period malapit sa Taiwan. Bagamat regular na namataan ang naturang mga Chinese balloons sa mga katubigan malapit sa Taiwan, ang panibagong kumpulan ng Chinese balloons ang isa sa pinakamaraming naitala nitong mga nakaraang buwan. Ayon sa isang US official, ang naturang balloon ay may kakayahang kumalap ng electronic intelligence mula sa military sites kung saan ito pinapalipad at binabalik nito ang datos pabalik sa China. Subalit, nilinaw naman ng Chinese Foreign Ministry na ang naturang balloon ay pangunahing ginagamit umano para sa meteorological purposes at may limitadong self-steering ability kung kaya't wala umanong kakayahan ang China na kontrolin ang direksyong tatahakin ito.
Hindi kinatuwa ni North Korean leader Kim Jong-un ang trilateral partnership ng Estados Unidos, South Korea at Japan. Ayon kay Kim, isang banta sa North Korea ang security partnership ng 3 bansa at nag-iimbitaan niya ang grupo ng isang military imbalance sa Korean Peninsula. Nangako rin si Kim na lalong palalakasin pa ang nuclear program ng Pyongyang. Hindi naman pinansin ng Estados Unidos at ng South Korea ang mga pahayag ni Kim. Nagsagawa ito ng live fire exercise ngayong araw. Ipinakita na magkaalyado ang kanilang pinagsanib at pinalakas na military land and air force, gayon din ang kanilang pangako na pagtitibayin ang kanilang depensa.
The value of training for this is a great impact. It's building those relationships with our counterparts, establishing the ability to both simultaneously strike contact on different objectives, simultaneously building communication lines with each other, which, as everyone knows, communication lines are very important on the battlefield, and then also coordinating with other units as well, the 11th Engineers, the 517, air assets, indirect fires from multiple different areas. It's just very important all around.
해병 협동 훈련, 공지 합동 훈련을 통해서 많은 전술적 식견을 배양할 수 있게 되었으며 또한 각 단차, 전차장들과 승무원들 간의 팀워크 향상을 할 수 있는 계기가 되었습니다. 이러한 경험을 토대로 우리 대대가 앞으로 더 높은 전투력 발휘할 수 있도록 노력하는 소대장이 되겠습니다.
Maghihigpit na ngayon ang gobyerno ng Sweden kaugnay sa pagmamay-ari ng mga baril.
In the light of the horrible shooting in Örebro earlier on this week, we believe that the right balance is to roll back the regulation and prohibit that kind of weapon. And we do it not, it's important for me to underscore, not based on information of exactly what kind of weapon that was used in this shooting, but given the background that we now have experienced such a shooting also in Sweden, and that we know that that kind of weapon, both with some changes, can become very dangerous, and also that it has been used in that kind of shootings in other countries. So therefore we think on the balance that this is the right decision to take as a preventive measure.
Tack så mycket. Vi måste ta tillfälle.
Thank you.
Tack så mycket.
Isinagawa ang anunsyo ilang araw matapos ang marahas na pamamargil sa isang paaralan na ikinasawi ng 7 babae at 4 na lalaki. Ang 35 anyos na suspect na si Richard Anderson ay mayroong 4 na legally owned rifles kung saan 3 dito ay kanyang ginamit sa pamamaril. Ayon sa mga mambabata sa Sweden na magpapasa sila ng mga batas para mapalakas ang paghihigpit sa pagbabawal ng pagbili ng mga armas, lalo na ang mga malalakas na uri ng baril. Giit din ni Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson na natitiyakin ng kanyang gobyerno na ang mga makabibili ng baril ay yung mga nararapat lamang.
Det finns en utredning som har beretts i regeringskansliet under en tid och den har några viktiga förslag som känns extra angelägna just i dessa förfärliga tider. Och det handlar om att skärpa upp regelverken för att få tillstånd att ha en vapenlicens överhuvudtaget. Det handlar om att förbjuda vissa sorters av de här halvautomatiska vapnen. Och så lägger vi dessutom till ett ytterligare förslag om att polisen och Socialstyrelsen behöver bättre möjlighet att undersöka om det finns medicinska skäl att inte ge en person vapenlicens.
Base sa datos nila, halos 600,000 mga Swedes ang mahigit na 10.5 milyon na populasyon ng bansa ang may-ari ng mga baril. Magugunit ang itinuturing ng gobyerno na ang nangyaring pamamaril noong nakaraang mga araw ay tinuturing na pinakamatinding pangyayari sa kasaysayan ng Sweden.
Tisdagen den 4 februari 2025 har ristats in som en mörk dag i svensk historia. 10 människor på en skola i Örebro föll offer för den värsta massskjutningen någonsin i vårt land. Många fler är skadade och traumatiserade. Ännu fler är sörjande familjemedlemmar, vänner och arbetskamrater. Vad som tidigare har skett i länder som USA, Tyskland och Finland har nu skett även här. Sverige är ett land i sorg. Mina tankar är hos de anhöriga som nu har fått det samtal som de befarade skulle komma. Det värsta samtal man kan få. Till er vill jag säga, ni är inte ensamma. Vi står här bredvid er. Hela Sverige bär sorgen tillsammans med er.
Tiniyak naman ni US President Donald Trump na hindi nito ipade-deport si Prince Harry pabalik ng United Kingdom. Dati nang naibalita na nagsinungaling umano si Prince Harry sa isang dokumento nito sa US Immigration. Tinago raw ng prinsipe ang pangyayari na gumamit ito ng illegal na droga noon. Ayon kay Trump, hindi siya interesado na ipa-deport si Prince Harry dahil marami na raw problema ang prinsipe sa asawa nitong si Meghan Markle. Subalit, ayon naman sa ilang legal experts, hindi pwedeng i-deport si Prince Harry dahil wala naman itong criminal conviction kaugnay ng nasabing dahilan. Nababahala sa United Nations Humanitarian Chief Tom Fletcher na magkakaroon ng negatibong resulta kapag tuluyang nasira ang ceasefire deal sa pagitan ng Hamas at ng Israel.
So we're here in northern Gaza and we've driven through the desolation of rubble, pulverized homes, pulverized communities, pulverized lives. Over 50,000 dead, over 100,000 injured. And the most important thing we can do today is to bear witness to the level of destruction. And when you see people picking through the rubble of their homes and their lives, desperate to rebuild, it's a wake-up call for the world that we have to deliver life-saving aid to these communities. We've got the first 10,000 trucks through in just 2 weeks, but we've got to do much, much more. And we've got to be here. We've got to see this, and we've got to tell the story to the world.
Sinabi nitong hindi pa tuluyang naayos ang kondisyon sa Gaza at marami pa sa kanila ang nakararanas ng matinding tagutom. Nababahala rin ito dahil hindi umano'y magkaiba ang pananaw ng magkabilang kampo sa mga alituntunin ng ceasefire deal. Base po sa kanilang datos, nasa 10 hanggang 20,000 katao ang namatay sa Gaza dahil sa kagutuman. Noong nakaraang buwan nang ipinatupad ang ceasefire, kung kailan maraming mga bihag na rin ang napakawala ng Hamas, habang ilang daan na rin na mga Palestinian inmates ang pinakawalan ng Israel.
So this is the reality for so many families in East Jerusalem. And I've been hearing the story from the owners of this house, a house where they grew up, where they raised their children and grandchildren, where they hosted their friends. And then it's gone in just half an hour. And those memories are buried underneath this rubble, but they tell me that they will stay and that they may have lost their property, but they will not give up on their dignity and on their hope.
Isinagawa na ng Israel at Hamas ang panglimang prisoner exchange sa ilalim ng kanilang ceasefire deal. Ang mga lalaking sibilyan ay kinilalang sina Eli Sharabi, 52 anyos, Ohad Ben Ami, 56 anyos, at Or Levi, 34 anyos. Kapalit ng nasabing mga bihag ang 183 Palestinian prisoners na hawak ng Israel. Muli nang magsimulang ipatupad ang ceasefire noong Enero 19 ay mayroong 18 hostages na ang pinakawala ng Hamas. Habang ang Israel naman ay mayroong 383 mga Palestinian prisoners ang pinakawalan. Sa loob ng 3 linggo bago matapos ang unang yugto ng ceasefire ay magpapakawala ang Hamas ng 33 mga bihag at 1,900 na mga preso.
The Israeli healthcare system committed to offering comprehensive, therapeutic, emotional and physical support to the family of the returnees and the captives as well. This morning we witnessed significant weight loss that represent the severe conditions which endured by Hamas. These scenes presenting challenging and complex visual for the families of the returns from captive, their families of captives and ourselves.
Sinabi naman ng Israel na 8 sa 33 mga bihag ay nasawi na. Ikinabahala rin ng Israel ang labis na kondisyong dinaranas ng mga bihag ng militanteng grupo. Mula nang magsimula ang pag-atake ng Hamas sa Israel noong October 7, 2023, mayroong 251 mga bihag ang hawak nila at mayroong 1,200 mga nasawi. Iniulat naman ng Health Ministry ang labis na malnutrisyon na pinagdadaanan ng kanilang mga kababayan sa ilalim ng pangangalaga ng Hamas. Hindi naman ito ikinatuwa ng Israeli government.
להחזקת בני אדם בשבי בתנאים מחפירים שכאלה יש השלכות בריאותיות קשות. מהידע הרפואי שנצבר, הזמן הממושך בשבי בא לידי ביטוי בהידרדרות משמעותית במצבם. מצבם של השבים שהגיעו היום מעורר בנו דאגה עמוקה וחמורה לגורלם של מי שנותרו בשבי.
Una lang sinabi ng opisina ni Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu na kanilang natanggap ang listahan ng mga bihag na pakakawalan kung saan inabisuhan na nila ang mga pamilya ng mga ito. Sa kabila nito ay nangako din siya na pupuksain ang Hamas.
חזרו היום הביתה. שרה ואני מחבקים אותם ואת המשפחות היקרות שלהם. שוב ראינו מה זה מפלצות החמאס. ואותן מפלצות שטבחו באזרחינו והתעללו בחטופינו, ואני אומר להם שוב, דמם בראשם. אנחנו נעשה הכל כדי להחזיר את כל חטופינו, אנחנו נדאג לביטחונם, זו ההנחיה שאני נתתי למשלחת, להגיד את זה למתווכות ולדרוש את זה, אבל מעבר לכך, הנשיא טראמפ הסכים איתי לגמרי. אנחנו נעשה הכל להחזיר את כל החטופים, אבל חמאס לא יהיה שם. אנחנו נחסל את החמאס ונחזיר את חטופינו. זאת ההנחיה, וכך נעשה.
Ibinunyag ng Foreign Minister ng Israel na wala pa sa kanila ang mga detalye ukol sa plano ni US President Donald Trump para sa Gaza. Jessica Bautista po para sa balitang yan.
Sinabi ni Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar na hindi pa alam ng Israel ang mga detalye ng US takeover na balak ni Pangulong Donald Trump para sa Gaza. Sabalit ani Sa'ar, sino man ang nagnanais lumikas sa palabas ng Gaza ay hindi dapat pigilan.
We don't have details yet, but we can talk about principles. The principles must be everyone that is ready to immigrate, wants to immigrate from his free will. It is moral to give him that option.
Kasama ni Sa'ar sa press conference si Italian Foreign Minister Antonio Tajani na nagpahayag naman ng posisyon ng Italy sa sitwasyon. Ayon kay Tajani, pabor ang kanyang bansa sa two-state solution at wala anyang mangyayari kung hindi sasang-ayon ang Palestinians.
Our position is very clear. For the future, we are in favor of two people, two states living in peace. Nothing is possible to do without the agreement of the Palestinians.
Noong Miyerkules, inanunsyo ni Trump ang kanyang balak na pag-ukupa ng US sa Gaza at sa pagpapalikas sa Palestinians habang ginagawa ang teritoryo. Subalit ayon kay Trump, hindi ibig sabihin ay magpapadala ng mga sundalo ang Amerika sa enclave. Sinabi pa nito na layon niyang i-develop ang Gaza bilang Riviera of the Middle East. Isang araw matapos ang anunsyo at ang pagkundina ng mga leader ng iba't ibang bansa, inutos ng Israel sa mga sundalo nito na maghanda sa voluntaryong paglikas ng Palestinians sa Gaza. Ang pagpapalikas ng Palestinians ay isa sa pinakamasiselang issue sa gitnang silangan sa loob ng maraming dekada. Ang sapilitang displacement ng isang populasyon sa ilalim ng okupasyong militar ay isang war crime at ipinagbawal sa ilalim ng 1949 Geneva Conventions. Sa kasalukuyan, wala pang detalye kung paanong isasagawa ang planong ito ni Trump. Ani Sa'ar, anumang paglikas mula sa Gaza ay voluntaryo at dapat ding bukas ang mga estado sa pagtanggap sa Palestinians sa kanilang bansa. Jessica Bautista para sa Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Lalong uminit ang tensyon sa pagitan ng Estados Unidos at ng South Africa nang magdesisyon ang top diplomat ng US na huwag dumalo sa nalalapit na G20 Foreign Ministers meeting sa Johannesburg. Alamin natin ang mga detalye mula sa ating NET25 correspondent na si Rosel Feria.
Sa isang social media post, kinumpirma ni State Secretary Marco Rubio na hindi siya dadalo sa G20 meeting ngayong taon sa Johannesburg. Inakusahan ni Rubio ang South Africa ng pagiging anti-American, isang pahayag na umani ng malawakang kritisismo. Ayon sa mananaliksik na si Sifo Mantula ng Thabo Mbeki African School of Public and International Affairs, kailangang maunawaan ng US na hindi maaapektuhan ng pagliban nito ang pagkapangulo ng South Africa sa G20.
The US need to understand that the Global South is part of the G20. The African Union as an international body is part of the G20. So the absence of the US will not impact the G20 presidency of South Africa. With or without the US, South Africa and the African continent will still engage all the superpowers and particularly economic trading powers, whether it's China, it's Russia, it's Brazil, it's European Union.
Lalong tumindi ang tensyon na inanunsyo ni Pangulong Donald Trump na sususpindihin nito ang aid para sa South Africa. Inakusahan ni Trump ang bansa ng pagnanakaw ng lupa, isang bintang na pinabulaanan ng bansa.
We are concerned about the false information that is constantly being referenced by the leadership of the Trump administration, and we are still looking forward to the opportunity to engage with the Trump administration at various levels. A, to correct the information that is being referenced in relation to South Africa, in relation to what is happening in South Africa.
Sa kabila ng paniniil ng US, binigyang diin ni South African President Cyril Ramaphosa sa kanyang State of the Nation address na hindi magpapatakot ang bansa nito. Samantala, isa pa sa nagpapabigat ng relasyon ng US at South Africa ay ang tahasang oposisyon ng huli sa okupasyon ng Israel sa Palestine. Hindi maunawaan ng mga manunuri kung ano ang ibig sabihin ni Rubio sa kanyang pahayag na anti-American ang South Africa.
What's interesting is South Africa's stance on Palestine, is not anti-American. It's just pro-Palestine. Palestine doesn't have any battle with the U.S. Its battle is with Israel. That is an occupying power.
Lumikha ng pagkabahala para sa hinaharap ang pagbabalik ni Trump sa White House, lalo na ang ukol sa African Growth and Opportunity Act. Kabilang dito ang posibleng economic fallout kaugnay ng mga kasunduan sa kalakalan.
We've got huge risk if the United States of America withdraws funding from ourselves, as well as trade deals like AGOA. We export a lot of products from South Africa to the United States duty-free due to AGOA. If we're going to lose AGOA, we'll have a huge negative effect on an economy like ours that are already struggling.
Sa kabila nito, binigyang diin pa rin ng South Africa ang pangako nito ukol sa matatag na ugnayang pangkalakalan sa US. Ito anya ay bukas pa rin sa pag-uusap. Subalit pinangangambahan na ang pagmamaneobra ng US tulad ng pagkalas sa pangmundong mga organisasyon gaya ng World Health Organization at ng United Nations Human Rights Council ay maaaring maging kahihinatnan din ng relasyon nito sa Africa. Rosel Feria para sa Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Susunod, Chinese authorities nagsasagawa ng search and rescue operation sa Sichuan province matapos ang isang major landslide.
T-Mobile at Starlink magsisimula ng satellite-to-cell partnership.
At Philadelphia Eagles hinarangan ng 3P ni Patrick Mahomes. Mga detalye po ng mga balita niyan at iba pa sa pagbabalik ng Mata ng Agila International.
Mga maiinit na balita
at rumaratsyad ang usapan ng bayan.
Ihahatid namin sa 100%! 100%
ang pagbabalita.
100% talakayan.
Lunes hanggang Biyernes.
Alas 5 hanggang alas 7 ng umaga.
Live na live sa Radyo Agila 1062 Mega Manila.
At sa NET25. 100%!
Sa NET25, let's net together. Sa NET25.
Sa kasulukuyang henerasyon, marami na ang nag-viral. Dahil po yan sa kanilang ginagawang pagtulong sa kapwa. Pero mas marami ang tumutulong kahit walang nakakakita. Kaya naman kung ikaw ay may kilala na grupo o individual na may natatanging pagresponde sa lipunan at maging sa kalikasan, mag-text lamang sa 0915-415-1035 o mag-email sa responde@net25.com at magpadala ng mensahe sa ating Facebook page at NET25 TV. Baka kayo na ang susunod nating Certified Key Responder.
Let's net together sa NET25. Sa NET25.
Dahil walang hinto ang balita.
Financial straits.
Mata ng Agila Weekend tuwing Sabado, alas 4 ng hapon. Ito ang NET25. Matatag, matapag, matapag.
Let's net together sa NET25. Sa NET25.
Patay ang isang caretaker ng isang elepante matapos itong madaganan sa gitna ng pag-aamok ng kanyang alagang hayop sa Kerala, India. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, may isa ring individual ang nasaktan sa trahedya matapos madaganan din ng mismong hayop. Batay sa investigasyon ng pulisya, galing ang elepante at ang tagapag-alaga nito mula sa isang event. Subalit habang pauwi na sila sa kanilang tinutuluyan, ay natakot ang elepante sa mga dumaraan na sasakyan sa kalsada at dito na po nag-amok ang higanteng hayop. Kaagad na napakalma ng mga rumespondeng otoridad sa lugar ang elepante. Naisugod pa sa ospital ang caretaker, subalit dineklara ng mga doktor na dead on arrival na ang biktima.
Isa patay rin habang nawawala naman ang 28 iba pa matapos ang isang landslide sa Sichuan, China. Ayon sa state broadcaster ng China, naganap ang pagguho ng lupa bandang 11:50 a.m. sa bayan ng Jinping. Pinaniniwala ang natabuna ng lupa ang mga nasa 10 bahay at natrap ang hindi bababa sa 30 mga residente. Sa kasalukuyan, nailigtas na ng mga rescue teams ang 2 individual na naipit mula sa mga debris. Inalerto na ni Chinese President Xi Jinping ang mga otoridad para sa isang all-out rescue sa mga biktima ng landslide. Ayon sa datos ng Chinese Ministry of Emergency Management, nasa 200 na ang inilikas mula sa kanilang mga tahanan dahil sa dalang panganib ng pagguho ng lupa sa lugar. Ipinag-utos naman ni Chinese Premier Li Qiang ang isang investigasyon sa landslide para matukoy ang potensyal na geological hazard risks nito.
Isang kalabaw naman po ang sumugod sa isang bahay sa Brazil matapos umiskapo mula sa isang slaughterhouse. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, dadalhin sana ang naturang hayop sa slaughterhouse para katayin nang napigtal ang busal nito at tumakas mula sa koral. Habang nakawala ang hayop ay maraming mga ari-arian ang sinira nito sa bisinidad. Nasakta naman ang isang individual matapos subukan na direktang pigilan ang kalabaw na makatakas. Makalipas ang ilang oras ay na-corner din ito ng mga humuhuli at tuluyan na nga itong kinatay.
Naaktuhan naman sa kamera ang isang rare deep sea fish na kilala sa tawag na humpback anglerfish malapit sa Spanish island ng Tenerife. Ayon sa mga eksperto, karaniwang matatagpuan ang mga ito sa mesopelagic zone mga 1,000 hanggang 4,000 feet below the surface. Ang itsura nito ay may malaking ulo at bibig at isang bioluminescent lure na ginagamit ng mga ito upang mangakit ng kanilang mahuhuli sa ilalim ng karagatan. Taong 2014, ang Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute ang unang nakakuha ng live recording ng naturang isda malapit sa baybayin ng Hawaii. Itinuloy na pong muli ng US Postal Service o SPS o USPS ang pagtanggap ng mga parcels na galing sa mainland China at Hong Kong. Kasunod ito ng bahagyang suspensyon matapos na magbago ng panuntunan si US President Donald Trump sa import taxes. Ayon sa USPS, nakikipag-ugnayan na sila sa US Customs and Border Protection para matiyak na hindi lumala ang problema. Bilang bahagi ng pagbabago ay kanilang isinara na ang kakulangan na pinapayagang ang mga maliliit na packages na nagkakahalaga na $800 o mas mababa pa na madala sa Estados Unidos nang hindi nagbabayad ng buwis o fees. Magugunitang pinatawan ni Trump ng 10% na tariff ang lahat ng mga produkto na manggagaling sa China.
Sa pamamagitan po ng Artificial Intelligence or AI ay nalaman ng mga mananaliksik sa Imperial College London at University of Bern na karamihan sa mga Mars quakes ay resulta ng mga seismic signals mula sa impact ng mga meteoroid na tumatama sa nasabing planeta. Paliwanag ni Dr. Constantino sa Charalambus, ang isang Mars quake ay isang seismic activity na pagyanig ng lupa sa Mars. Maaaring ito ay bunsod ng paggalaw ng mga tectonic plates o kaya thermal stress. Mula sa naging data analysis ng AI mula sa nakalap na larawan ng InSight lander na nasa noong taong December 2018 hanggang December 2022 na pag-alamang mas malalim ang pag-travel ng mga seismic waves mula sa impact ng pagtama ng mga meteoroids sa Mars. Anila, hindi inaasahan na mas malawak ang mararating ng mga seismic waves na ito sa ibang bahagi ng planetang Mars. At dahil po dito, mas naniniwala ang mga researchers na malaki ang naitutulong ng AI sa rapid processing ng pananaliksik sa planetang Mars.
Inanunsyo ng T-Mobile na sinimulan na nito ang wide-scale testing para sa kanilang Starlink satellite-to-cell service. Sa ilalim ng beta launch, sa halip ng telecommunications tower, ang kailangan para makapag-text ang gagamitin ay satellite. Ayon sa T-Mobile, layo ng kanilang serbisyo na alisin ang mga mobile dead zones sa mga remote areas. Batay sa pananaliksik ng T-Mobile, nasa 500,000 square miles ng US ang walang koneksyon sa mga terrestrial cell towers. Sa kasalukuyan ng beta trial ay libre pero isasama na ito sa premium plan ng T-Mobile pagdating ng Hulyo.
Sa Paris Artificial Intelligence or AI Summit ay magkikita-kita ang iba't ibang leader ng mga bansa at mga AI experts. Asahang bibida sina US President Donald Trump at ang Chinese app na DeepSeek. Absent man si Trump sa summit ay nakatuon pa rin ang lahat na magiging aksyon ng Estados Unidos sa AI safety. Lalo na at may mga kumalat na balitang hindi pa dadaluhin ni Trump ang AI Safety Institute ng US. Subalit pupunta naman si US Vice President J.D. Vance, OpenAI Chief Sam Altman and Google DeepMind Chief Executive Demis Hassabis. Naniniwala ang marami na mahalaga ang presensya ng Washington sa Paris, lalo na at marami ang nababahala kung ligtas bang gamitin ang Chinese app na DeepSeek. Pinatulan naman ang halos 5 taong pagkakabilanggo si Ipei Mizuhara, ang dating interpreter ni Los Angeles Dodgers star Shohei Ohtani. Ayon sa korte, nagpanggap pala itong si Mizuhara na siya ang sikat na baseball star upang makapanloko ng mga empleyado ng bangko at mailipat ang pera ni Ohtani at mabayaran niya ang kanyang personal na mga utang sa mga sugal. Halos $17 million ang ninakaw ni Mizuhara kay Ohtani. Inutusan din ng korte si Mizuhara na ibalik ang perang nawala sa baseball star.
This afternoon, a federal judge sentenced Mr. Mizuhara to 57 months in federal prison for stealing more than $17 million from Shohei Ohtani that Mr. Mizuhara used to pay gambling debts. In conjunction with this case, Mr. Mizuhara also filed a false tax return by failing to report the stolen money as income. In addition to the prison term, Mr. Mizuhara was ordered to pay more than $17 million in restitution to both the IRS and Mr. Atani. In case we reach out to victims.
Nabigo sa pag-repeat sa Lombardi Trophy sina Patrick Mahomes at ang Kansas City Chiefs sa Super Bowl 59.
Anytime you lose a Super Bowl, it's the worst feeling in the world. They'll stick with you the rest of your career. I mean, these will be the two losses that will motivate me to be even better for the rest of my career, because you only get so few of these, and you have to capitalize on these, and they hurt probably more than the wins feel good.
Kinontrol ng Philadelphia Eagles quarterback na si Jalen Hurts ang lahat ng play ng kanyang koponan upang makuha ang kanilang pangalawang Lombardi sa Super Bowl era. Ang defense naman sa pangunguna ni Josh Sweat ay buong gabing binulabog ng Philadelphia defense ang former MVP na si Mahomes at tinapos ng Eagles ang laro sa isang dominanting 40-22 win sa Caesars Superdome sa New Orleans. Maganda rin ang naging game plan ni defensive coordinator Vic Fangio kung saan naging scoreless ang Kansas City sa malaking bahagi ng laro. Hindi na kinailangan ng Philly na pigain si All-Star running back acquisition galing sa New York Giants, Saquon Barkley. Nakumpleto ni Hurts ang 2 passing touchdowns at isang brotherly shove quarterback sneak, kaya siya ang itinanghal na Super Bowl MVP. Outplayed at outmatched ng Philadelphia and Kansas City, sinabayan pa ito ng crowd na sa bawat score ay ipinakita talaga ang kanilang suporta para sa koponan. Walang nasalong pasa ang boyfriend ni Taylor Swift na si Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce.
Still processing it, you know. It's been a long journey. It's been a journey of ups and downs and highs and lows, and I've always stayed true to it in the end, and having this vision of just being the best that I can be, and that evolving over time into this desire and this flame inside to win. And you don't do great things without the guys around you.
Pinayuhan ni U.S. District Judge Louis Liman ang mga abogado ni Blake Lively at Justin Baldoni na huwag nang talakayin sa publiko ang civil lawsuits ng kanilang mga kliyente. Kaugnay ito ng reklamo ni Lively na siya ay hinaras umano ni Baldoni habang kinukunan ang kanilang mga eksena sa pelikulang It Ends With Us. Ayon kay attorney ni Michael Gottlieb, legal counsel naman ni Lively ay nilabag ni attorney Brian Friedman ang professional ethics rules for lawyers dahil sa pahayag nitong nambubuli daw ang aktres. Depensa naman ni attorney Friedman ay sinagot niya lamang ang kampo ng aktres dahil sa isang article na lumabas sa New York Times na ikinasira umano ng loob ni Baldoni. Subalit, ayon kay Judge Liman ay hindi pwede magsalita ang dalawang abogado ukol sa kaso ng kanilang mga kliyente dahil baka makaapekto ito sa resolusyon ng civil suits.
Susunod, isang rare violin na ibenta sa tanyag na Sotheby's auction.
Mga sobrang cute na rescue animals hindi nagpatalo sa Super Bowl.
At abangan ang iba pang mga storya pagdating ni Alma Angeles at ng Mata ng Agila World News. Wag po kayong aalis, magbabalik pa ang Mata ng Agila International.
NET ay binuo upang paglingkuran ang mga kapwa kong Pilipino.
Dahil walang hinto ang balita.
Financial straits.
Mata ng Agila Weekend tuwing Sabado, alas 4 ng hapon. Ito ang NET25. Matatag, matapag, matapak.
Let's net together sa NET25. Sa NET25.
Naibenta sa halagang $11.3 million ang isang violin na ginawa ni renowned Italian craftsman Antonio Stradivari sa Sotheby's. Kilala sa tawag na Joachim Ma ang violin kung saan nilikha ito sa taong 1714 ng 70-year-old na si Stradivari.
So this is a 1714 Golden Period Stradivarius. So this is a violin that was created by Antonio Stradivari in the city of Cremona in Italy, and these are synonymous with the quintessential musical instrument. I think Stradivarius as a name has now kind of gotten that sort of allure that you know that a Stradivarius is the best of the best.
Ayon sa Sotheby's chairman, maraming nilikha na violins sa kanyang kapanahunan at nasa higit 600 na lamang ang natitira sa mga ito.
Stradivarius made just over 1,000 violins, and at this point in time, over 300 years later, around 600 of those still exist. Not all of them are playable. They're in different states and conditions. This one is in exceptional condition.
Ilan sa mga ito ay ang 1721 Lady Blunt Stradivarius na naibenta sa halagang $15.9 million noong taong 2011.
At habang may Super Bowl po ang mga tao ay syempre hindi magpapatalo ang mga cute na mga aso sa Puppy Bowl 2025. Sa pang-21 edisyon ng Rescue Animal Event, nagwagi ang Team Fluff kontra sa Team Rough. Natapos ang puppy face-off sa puntos na 68-66 kung saan si Paws Allen, isang Labrador Retriever, ang nagbigay ng final touchdown. Kasama sa mga players ay sina Julep at Smooch na nag-present naman o nag-represent sa Team of Love, habang sina Mr. Pickles at Tuwani naman ang ilan sa mga nagtindig ng bandera ng Team Rough. Sa kabila nito, ang Most Valuable Puppy o MVP ay nasungkit ng aso na si Foxtrot. Last year, ang Team Rough ang nagwagi sa init ng laban na natapos sa score na 72-69. Ang annual show na ito ay tumagal ng 3 oras kung saan itinatampok dito ang nasa 142 rescue puppies mula sa 80 shelters at 40 states at 2 bansa. Napaka-cute ng mga puppies na yan.
Team Fluff at Team Rough tayo.
Oo,
Pantay.
diba? At syempre, diba, ang pinaka-excited dyan, yung mahilig sa mga hayop. Pero yung mga cute na hayop, ang ating birthday girl na si Direk Mads. Happy birthday, Direk!
Pakapyaw lang, Happy birthday sa aming mahal na si Direk Mads.
At syempre, kasi Happy Monday din ngayon. Kaya Happy Monday, everybody. At tandaan po narito kami ni Nina para maghatid ng balita saan mang dako ng mundo. Muli ako po si Ricky Matay.
Ako si Nina Richie Lago Flores. Ito po ang Mata ng Agila International. Para naman po sa mga balitang nangyari sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo, punta tayo kay Alma Angeles para sa Mata ng Agila World News. Take it away, Alma.
Nina Enrique, good evening everyone. I'm Alma Angeles for NET25 World News. On tonight's headlines. China's new tariffs on certain U.S. goods officially kicked off today, and this move comes as a response to Washington's recent decision to raise tariffs by 10% on all Chinese imports, escalating trade tensions between the two countries.
Yeah, it's a bit surprising that the American government is going to allow its companies to suffer without even a phone call to the president of China. The thing is, we are in the beginning of the Trump administration. Right now, he's riding high. So right now, because one thing that people don't understand is that a lot of American companies are certainly lobbying the American government to stop the retaliation, right? Let's negotiate this. But right now, Trump is not listening to anybody.
And the news starts now. China's new tariffs on select U.S. goods took effect today, retaliating against Washington's 10% tariff hike on all Chinese imports. Now, Beijing's Customs Tariff Commission announced the move earlier this month, slapping an extra 15% tariff on U.S. coal and liquefied natural gas, crude oil, agricultural machinery, large displacement vehicles, and pickup trucks now carry an additional 10% tariff. Despite the escalating trade tensions, traders in Yiwu, China's major export manufacturing hub, appeared unfazed. And many say they've already taken steps to cushion the impact of Trump's tariffs and other measures against China.
Adding a 50% tariff won't impact us much.
Chinese toy trader Zheng Hao says new tariffs from U.S. President Donald Trump don't bother him.
First of all, our product is a high-profit product. For example, if I sell it here for 5 yuan, the wholesalers may give consumers a price of 15 or 20 yuan. Because this is the standard pricing in the US. Even if a tariff adds 2.5 yuan to a 5 yuan toy, the impact on the end consumer isn't too significant.
Zheng's Jinqi Toys is in a massive market complex in the eastern city of Yiwu. Yiwu is the world's largest hub for selling small products wholesale. Zheng says the US accounts for about 80% of his exports. Still, he's not fazed by Trump's tariffs and other moves against China.
The United States unpredictability, well, we're okay with it. It's whatever. We have no choice.
Trump promised 60% tariffs on Chinese goods during his campaign, but he revised that down to 10% after taking office. He also plans to cancel duty-free treatment of low-cost packages from China under the so-called de minimis rule. That loophole lets parcels worth less than $800 enter the US tax-free.
Whatever they say, we just follow. If they cancel small parcel shipments, then our customers will switch to shipping by containers, right?
Tong Haodong is chairman of Besa Group, which sells a range of items from clothes to toiletries. He told Reuters that they had already made preparations to soften the blow.
Before Trump took office, we predicted he would be elected. So what should we do after Trump comes to power? We gathered information from various reports as well as on platforms like Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Based on that, we made strategic adjustments for the company in advance. It's not about reacting immediately when a policy is announced. By then, it would be too late to adapt.
Trump's moves have reignited fears of a full-blown trade war escalating between the world's two largest economies. China is preparing its own counter-tariffs of up to 15% on some U.S. goods. Abby Jin buys products in Yiwu on behalf of her international customers in markets including the United States. She told Reuters that vendors in the city were not short of orders.
We can respond by slightly reducing our profit margins or adjusting costs. In the end, the additional costs will be passed on to the end consumers in their country, meaning they will ultimately bear the consequences of their own economic policies. For the US, whether they can find a suitable country to replace us as a trade partner is a question they need to consider themselves.
Why isn't U.S. President Donald Trump in a hurry to negotiate with Chinese President Xi Jinping? Now, that's the question a finance analyst is asking after Trump showed no urgency to talk, even as China's retaliatory tariffs took effect today. Last week, Trump said he wasn't rushing to speak with Xi, despite expectations that a direct conversation similar to his talks with Mexican and Canadian leaders could help ease or delay the tariff battle.
Any update on when you would speak to President Xi?
No, we'll speak to him at the appropriate time. I'm in no rush. At the appropriate
Do you think that conversation can lend itself to the type of freeze that it meant for the tariffs for Canada and
Well,
Mexico?
we'll see what happens.
White House spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt confirmed that Xi had reached out, but a call between the two leaders has yet to be scheduled.
Yeah, it's a bit surprising that the American government is going to allow its companies to suffer without even a phone call to the president of China. The thing is, we are in the beginning of the Trump administration. Right now, he's riding high. So right now, because one thing that people don't understand is that a lot of American companies are certainly lobbying the American government to like stop the retaliation, right? Try, like, let's negotiate this. But right now, Trump is not listening to anybody. He believes that because he was not strong enough on the first term, that he must show a much stronger hand this time. And that is what is going on. And the problem is that this makes things unpredictable. The situation that we are now is that the trade today is not symbolic, but it's also not strategic. Is a tour de force that can be clawed back, like happened in the case of Mexico and Canada, but it's neither.
Meanwhile, President Trump has warned of even higher tariffs unless Beijing takes stronger action against fentanyl shipments to the U.S. China, on the other hand, insists it has already made major efforts to crack down on illicit drug trade and is challenging Trump's tariffs at the World Trade Organization, where it filed a complaint last week.
I just think that is a survival negotiating tactic, strategy that China will have to pursue because there's no other way.
So will tensions ease, or are more tariffs on the horizon? Will Japan's Nippon Steel be allowed to invest in U.S. steel? Now, President Trump has finally weighed in on this issue. Trump, who previously vowed to block the takeover, now says the U.S. government will allow the investment, but only if it's not a majority stake. So how will that affect the deal?
Nippon Steel has considered proposing a bold change in its approach to buy US steel. That's according to Japan's Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshimasa Hayashi Monday. He told reporters the proposal was completely different from anything Nippon has done in the past. Hayashi said it would create a win-win situation for both Japan and the US. He cited investments and the production of high-quality products demanded by the US and global markets. On Friday, US President Donald Trump said Nippon Steel's $14.9 billion bid would take the form of an investment instead of a purchase. He commented further Sunday.
I'm not going to let another country buy it. We had a great meeting on that, but they are allowed to invest in it, and that's different.
It was unclear if the investment referred to a new deal structure or what the details of the transaction would be. Two sources said the biggest Japanese steelmaker had not withdrawn its bid. Nippon Steel declined to comment on Hayashi's update. It also said nothing on Trump's statement that no one can have a majority stake in US steel. Trump also said the US will impose 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports on top of existing duties. Shares in Nippon Steel fell 1.5% Monday.
The Trump administration's immigration crackdown has ignited protests across the U.S. This as thousands of undocumented migrants have been sent back to their countries. 11,000 are now in Mexico, 2,500 of whom, however, are non-Mexicans. Anna Cui reports.
On Friday, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum announced that her country has received nearly 11,000 deported migrants from the United States. This since President Donald Trump took office. Sheinbaum says 2,539 of those reported are non-Mexicans.
We have always said that whenever anyone is deported from the United States, if they want to, we make an interview to verify if there were any human rights violations so we can file all the corresponding complaints. 10,964 people from January 20th, 8,425 Mexicans, and 2,539 from other nationalities have been deported to Mexico.
Sheinbaum adds that Mexico has also repatriated deported migrants to Honduras via flights as well as ground transportation. The Mexican president stressed that the repatriations were not forced.
Flights have departed from Mexico to Honduras. Yesterday, a flight departed. Foreign migrants also take ground transportation. Remember, it's voluntary. It's always voluntary. We will accompany back to their home countries if they desire so.
Last week, Sheinbaum and Trump reached a deal pausing threatened tariffs on Mexican goods. In exchange, Mexico deploys thousands of National Guard police to its northern border with the U.S. This in an effort to reduce the U.S.-bound migrant flow. Anna Cui for NET25 World News.
U.S. President Donald Trump had a lot to say on Super Bowl weekend while traveling from his residence in Florida to the game in New Orleans on board Air Force One. Trump announced his intention to impose tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. He also signed a proclamation changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. And he said he expects Elon Musk to find billions of dollars of waste when Musk investigates Pentagon spending. Thomas I. Likeness for more.
Trump spent a good part of the flight from Florida to New Orleans speaking with reporters. In a staged event aboard Air Force One, the president signed a declaration changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
And we're flying right over it right now. So we thought this would be appropriate. Even bigger than the Super Bowl. This is a big thing. And almost everybody now has assented to that.
Attention on board. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could please direct your attention out the right side of the aircraft. Air Force One is currently in international waters, for the first time in history, flying over the recently renamed Gulf of America. Please enjoy the flight, and we are now about to head westbound to Super Bowl 59.
The name change is pretty meaningless. Outside of the United States, the Gulf will still be known as the Gulf of Mexico. In a post on X, Google says it will change the name of the Gulf, but only for American users. Still with geography, Trump reiterated he still wants the U.S. to own Gaza, despite opposition to the idea from most of the rest of the world.
I'm committed to buying and owning Gaza. As far as us rebuilding it, we may give it to other states in the Middle East to build sections of it. Other people may do it through our auspices. But we're committed to owning it, taking it, and making sure that Hamas doesn't move back. There's nothing to move back into. The place is a demolition site. It'll be, the remainder will be demolished. Everything's demolished. I mean, you can't live in those buildings right now. They're very unsafe. But we'll make it into a very good site for future development by somebody.
And as far as where the current residents of Gaza would go, Trump pretty much rules out accepting Palestinian refugees into the United States.
Coming into the United States, it's a long way for them to travel. They're far away from their families and their friends and everything else. I think they'd be very happy staying in the general area in a place that was safe, where they could be safe and lead a good life.
He continues to say he hopes neighboring Arab countries will accept displaced Palestinians, but those countries have already ruled that out. When pressed about the Russia-Ukraine war, Trump says talks are continuing, but he had little else to say.
Well, I don't want to talk about it, and if we are talking, I don't want to tell you about the conversation. It's too early, but I do believe we're making progress. We want to stop the Ukraine-Russia war, and I want to stop it just because I hate to see all these young people being killed. The soldiers are being killed by the hundreds of thousands.
On the issue of trade, Trump signaled his intention to impose tariffs on imports of steel and aluminum. He says he'll announce those details Tuesday or Wednesday.
Any steel coming into the United States is going to have a 25% tariff.
What about aluminum, sir?
Aluminum, too.
Those tariffs will increase the cost of finished goods for American consumers. In an interview aired Sunday morning, Trump talked about wasteful spending. He says he'll be sicking his financial pit bull, Elon Musk, on his next targets.
I'm going to tell him very soon, like maybe in 24 hours, to go check the Department of Education. He's going to find the same thing. Then I'm going to go to the military. Let's check the military. We're going to find billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud and abuse. And, you know, the people elected me on that.
Despite the fire hose of promises, proposals, and ideas, Trump provides few details. Just like in his first term, Americans are told details will be coming soon. But soon never seems to come. Thomas I. Likeness, NET25 World News.
More than 60 people rescued from scam centers in Myanmar have arrived in Thailand, with over half of them identified as Chinese nationals. The group also includes 13 Indians, 5 Indonesians, and 1 Malaysian. Take a look. Thailand welcomed the returnees as the country continues its crackdown on cross-border scam operations. The rescue efforts follow Thailand's decision to cut electricity, internet, and energy supplies to 5 border areas in Myanmar, which have become hubs for the billion-dollar scam industry.
Today, we have cut the power to Myanmar. They may face challenges of lower power supply, but we are at the point now where no one can blame Thailand for being part of or playing a part in supporting illegal acts. They may turn to other sources of power supply or generate their own electricity. In the Thai Security Council orders, it also includes the halt in supplying oil and internet to them, which means that from now on, any damage that occurs will have no connection to any resources in Thailand.
International pressure to dismantle these centers intensified after a Chinese actor was abducted in Thailand last month, taken across the border, and forced to work in a scam center. The incident raised security concerns and delivered a blow to Thailand's tourism industry. Reports say around 10,000 Chinese tourists canceled their trips to Thailand during the Lunar New Year holidays. During a visit to China, Thai Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra sought to reassure the Chinese government that tourist safety is a top priority. In a meeting with President Xi Jinping, she reaffirmed Thailand's commitment to cracking down on these scam networks, efforts that President Xi acknowledged and welcomed. And the news continues here on NET25. We'll be right back.
Bayan sa Kongreso, SPP, tuloy-tuloy na pag-asenso. SPP, 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 serbisyo sa bayan, party list. SPP, number 62. SPP, serbisyo sa bayan, party list. SPP, number 62. SPP, serbisyo sa bayan, party list.
Ang SBP ay binuo upang paglingkuran ang mga kapwa kong Pilipinong consumer na ang hangarin ay masiguradong ang pinaghirapang kita mo ay protektado sa merkado. Ang SBP ay nandito upang pangalagaan, proteksyonan at isulong ang mga karapatan ng Pilipinong consumer.
Consumer, dito tayo sa subok na at tunay na may malasakit sa pinaghirapan ng bawat isa. Poproteksyonan ang inyong kita. Number 62 sa balota.
Serbisyo sa Bayan Party List. Ang partido mo ka-consumer.
In response to President Donald Trump's suggestion that Ukraine supplies the U.S. with rare earths and other minerals in exchange for financially supporting its war effort, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says, "Let's do a deal." Percival Parlare Jr. reports.
President Donald Trump is pressing for a rapid end to the Russia-Ukraine war. Last week, he said he wanted Ukraine to supply the United States with rare earths and other minerals in return for financially supporting its war effort.
So we're looking to do a deal with Ukraine where they're going to secure what we're giving them with their rare earth and other things.
In response, Ukrainian president says he is willing to talk about a deal.
These deposits are priceless. It is a huge amount of money, huge. That is why we need to protect it. So if we are talking about a deal, that's what the Americans want, then let's do a deal. We are only for it. Let's do the deal.
Last fall, Ukraine floated the idea of opening its critical minerals to investment by allies. It presented what it calls a victory plan that seeks to put Kyiv in the strongest position for talks and convince Moscow to the table.
This is what I told President Trump when we were together. I told him this is the victory plan. Why victory? Victory for all. We will protect those trillions. We will prevent Russia from mining the minerals which will later be used to produce technologies for the three countries of the axis of evil.
Trump wants rare earths because the American economy is highly dependent on Chinese sources, and it's an economic and national security risk. So reason number one. Reason number two is that there are not so many American companies who are able to mine and produce rare earths within the US. Reason number two. And reason number three is that, I mean, there is Ukraine, and we have these commodities right there. And in order to avoid that the Chinese will take over Ukrainian rare earths commodities and build up potential mines there, it's an option for the Americans. And reason number four is to make the Ukrainians pay for the American military support. So there, you see a couple of reasons why Trump wants them, but again, we have to wait. What does it really mean on the ground?
Zelensky says less than 20% of Ukraine's mineral resources were under Russian occupation. These include about half its rare earth deposits.
Так, безумовно, вони захопили не 20%.
Of course, they have not seized 20% of our mineral resources. It is less. Much less. And this is what I am talking about, urgently, yes. We are speaking at the top of our voice that we need help to stop Putin and protect all we have, a very rich Dnipro region, which central Ukraine.
Rare earths are important in the manufacture of high-performance magnets, electric motors, and consumer electronics.
Rare earth elements are not actually rare. They've held on to that name since the late 70s. Now, because the term rare earth elements refers to 17 chemically similar elements that are one right next to the other on the periodic table, that means they're actually very difficult to break apart, to separate, so that you can have a higher concentration pure form of praseodymium or neodymium, for example, which are two elements that are used in high-powered magnets that are used in everything from maglev trains to wind turbines to missiles.
Zelensky says Moscow could open those resources to its allies, North Korea and Iran, both sworn U.S. enemies. The Ukrainian president unfurls a map on a table in his office in Kyiv. He shows numerous mineral deposits, including a broad strip of land in the east marked as containing rare earths. But around half of it looked to be on Russia's side of the current front lines.
Because even though the global rare earth supply continues to be relatively stable, with a few exceptions, rare earth elements, because of their strategic significance, do unfortunately tend to feature in broader geopolitical disputes. And so the elements that are under question with respect to Ukraine are currently located in areas that are Russia controlled, right? And so gaining or regaining access to those deposits, not only for the US, for Ukraine and Western allies, is something that has larger geopolitical significance.
Zelensky says Ukraine had Europe's largest reserves of titanium, essential for the aviation and space industry, and uranium used for nuclear energy and weapons. Many of the titanium deposits were marked in northwestern Ukraine, far from the fighting. Ukraine's willingness to enter a deal with the U.S., Zelensky says, does not mean giving away its resources. Zelensky clarifies that it is offering a mutually beneficial partnership to develop them jointly.
You see, all this region, industrial region, that is very important. Which region of Ukraine? And this is billions. The Americans help the most, and therefore the Americans should earn the most. And in rebuilding Ukraine, they should have this priority, and they will. I would also like to talk about this with President Trump.
Zelensky adds that Kyiv and the White House are discussing the idea of using Ukraine's vast underground gas storage sites to store U.S. liquefied natural gas.
We have the biggest gas storage in Europe. The biggest. Many European countries store gas, and we are ready to sign LNG contracts and make the storage available to other European Union countries. With pleasure. And I know that American partners are interested too in this market, and we are ready to cooperate with American partners.
February 14 to 16 is the Munich Security Conference, where officials from dozens of Western countries will converge and discuss the nearly 3-year-old Russia-Ukraine war. Zelensky is anticipated to attend the forum, where Trump's special envoy for Russia and Ukraine, Keith Kellogg, is also expected. The Ukrainian president says he needs to meet Trump in person before the U.S. president meets Russian President Vladimir Putin. Meanwhile, Trump says he expects to talk to Zelensky this week. In Washington, D.C., Percival Parlade for NET25 World News.
Tariffs or no tariffs, businesses and consumers in Canada are uniting in the call to buy Canadian. Now this after Prime Minister Justin Trudeau appealed to its residents to put the country's products first. In Toronto, Yolanda Aspiras has this story.
Buy Canadian sounds like the battle cry across Canada as tariffs have been announced to come into effect this week and eventually pulled back and paused for the next 30 days. Earlier in the week, U.S. President Trump announced the 25% tariffs will be imposed on all Canadian goods. In retaliation, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced the same 25% tariffs on against American goods coming into Canada, thereby starting an anticipated tariff war between the two neighboring countries.
President Trump wants to usher in a new golden age for the United States. The better path is to partner with Canada, not to punish us.
In response to this, Canadians and businesses across the country are now determined to show solidarity with the country and to buy Canadian and not support US-made or American-owned companies.
I think it's made Canadians across nationally more aware of what is going on and becoming I think more educated about the situation and what role we all have to play as Canadians.
I hope that this sort of brings us together. It's making people at least look at the things they're buying and not being so complacent.
Even with the tariffs paused at the moment, most people are now checking product labels and doing their research, posting Canadian substitutes for basic necessities to support Canadian products instead of buying American goods.
The fundamental truth of this all is we don't want to be here. No one wants to be here. This is completely unavoidable, yet we are here and we are going to respond. We are not, I think, for some people in the U.S., perhaps Donald Trump, they took our kindness for weakness. And we do love our American cousins. But we will not stand by for this type of action to be taken, and we will respond every single time that they take an action. We will respond in kind.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's speech earlier in the week has inspired a lot of Canadians to action and to support their own and stand in solidarity with Canada. Yolanda Aspiras, Toronto, Ontario for NET25 World News.
If you're in Tokyo and looking for a unique experience, check out Hokusai, Another Story in Tokyo at Tokyo Plaza, Shibuya. Now, this exhibition brings Katsushika Hokusai's iconic Edo period artworks to life using high-definition visuals and haptic technology. Imagine feeling the sensation of walking on sand or ice as you explore scenes from Hokusai's masterpieces.
この第一の部屋ではソニーのハプティクス技術の一つであるアクティブスレートというデバイスを使っています。葛飾北斎の作品に合わせて4つのシーンの世界に没入するような体験ができる部屋になっております。例えば砂浜を歩いているような触覚ですとか、このカニを踏むとカニが逃げてったりとか、そういう疑似的に葛飾北斎の世界観に没入するようなことが体験できるような部屋となっております。
その亡くなる直前まで新しくずっとチャレンジングするような人だったんですね。なので今回の展示見ていただけたら、僕だったらこうするみたいな、もっとなんかそのアイディアが出てくるんじゃないかなと思います。なんかそのインスピレーションがもっと湧いて、さらにこう作りたいっていうか、そういう多分人だったと思うので、喜んでくれると思います。
Loved it so much. It's amazing. Really, it's like I don't know. It was like the moment I first saw Fuji in Shinkansen. It was mesmerizing, and I felt it again here. So it's nice.
Now the exhibition runs until June 1st, and tickets need to be purchased in advance. Don't miss this blend of traditional art and modern technology. And with that, we end tonight's broadcast. For everyone here on NET25, I'm Alma Angeles. Thanks for joining us. Good night.